Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman. I want to welcome you to Museum Open House. This ongoing series features and highlights many of the outstanding museums and other cultural institutions. The main purpose of most programs is to inform viewers about current and upcoming exhibits, various programs, resources, and other opportunities that are available for the general public. Today we're fortunate to have as our guests Cathy McLaurin, Craig Gibson, Lara Mataac, and Matt Morin, all of whom are associated with the Essex Arts Center located in Lawrence. Cathy is the executive director of the center. Craig is a chaplain at the Lawrence General Hospital, and he's also an avid bird watcher and photographer. Lara is a lawyer and a volunteer with the Merrimack River Watershed Council in Lawrence, and Matt serves as the education program manager at Groundwork Lawrence. They're all here today to share with us their involvement with fascinating exhibits that were recently on display at the Essex Arts Center, centering on the phenomenon of thousands and thousands of crows migrating to the greater Lawrence area during the winter. During the program, we'll be hearing the various ways they were involved individually with various groups, how the local community became involved, and beyond that. Let's start by meeting our guests and then finding out all about the Essex Arts Center and the recent engaging exhibitions featuring crows. Welcome. Delighted you're all able to be here today. You know, it was wonderful to highlight the exhibits in a previous program, and it's a testament to how successful everything was that we're doing a follow-up program to just hear about the various spin-offs and the different ways a number of constituencies got involved with this unique exhibition. Cathy, before we jump to that, I think it would be of interest if you could start with maybe just a little of the history and the overall mission of the Essex Arts Center, please.
Sure. The Essex Arts Center was founded in 1993. We're celebrating our 25th year this year. We opened our doors in 1994. And the Art Center was founded with a mission to make art accessible to all in the greater Lawrence community. We do that through classroom exploration for all ages, as well as art exhibitions in our 3 exhibition spaces.
Nice, nice. And what does the inside look like, just roughly, for people who haven't had the chance to visit yet?
Well, Lawrence is rich in many ways, and one of the ways it's rich is to have beautiful old mill buildings. We're fortunate enough to be in one of those mill buildings. We're in a smaller mill building. It's freestanding. So we have about 10,000 square feet. We have brick walls. We have old wood floors. And then we have really nice classroom spaces where students of all ages can explore through a variety of media. We also have a ceramic studio and a media lab.
Nice, nice. And moving on to the crow exhibits, which I have to say, when I first heard that there's this exhibit about crows, I was thinking, well, I'm not sure, should I go out there to see it? What's going to be involved? Why and how did it come about?
Well, it's really interesting. What happened is, as I was stepping into the position of executive director, a number of people in Lawrence at different times said to me, have you met Craig Gibson? He's the chaplain at Lawrence General Hospital, and he takes these fabulous photographs of birds. So I heard that several times, and then one person eventually put me in touch with Craig. Craig and I met up, and I wasn't sure what to expect, but I thought maybe a photo show of bird photography. And then from there, this idea really exploded, mostly because Craig was so enthusiastic and had this great idea to celebrate this natural phenomenon in Lawrence.
Yeah, Craig, would you start by sharing your involvement, how you got this idea, who else was involved?
So last winter, 17-18, I had a chance to respond to an invitation from an older couple, Dana and Bob Fox, to come out on a many number of nights to observe and photograph the crows. They needed a photographer, and photographing the crows at dusk and afterwards is a bit of a challenge. Dark subject in diminishing light. but was able to put together quite a portfolio of photos over the winter time. And we looked ahead towards the following year and said, how might we expand this a bit and engage and involve the community? And we had done some homework where some of these things had been done in other cities. And Cathy was open and receptive. We met in July, and as she started to think about how this might work, I could see that the lights were kind of going on.
Yeah.
And then in August, I had relayed to Cathy, a gallery out in San Diego was preparing in March of 2019 to do a 5th year Crow exhibition with contributing artists from many, many different, mostly Western states, and that bolstered our confidence that we would hopefully be able to put something together that would attract, visitors to the Arts Center.
Well, we're fortunate to have a few photos just to give people a little sense of what they could have experienced a little while ago. Craig, would you share with the one we're seeing now?
So I think Cathy would tell you that this ended up being one of the favorite photos and commented on during the course of the exhibit. We had 5 photographers, we had 25 matted and framed 13 by 19 photos adorning the walls within the Essex Art Center. This one was taken, Jay, very late afternoon. You can see from the clock 5:30.
Okay.
So it would have been before the start of daylight savings time, so probably earlier in October. And what happens in this scenario is this is the New Balance factory building, all brick, and the renowned clock tower along the Merrimack River. And at about this point of day before sunset, the crows will come from points south and southeast, flying by the big brick building and around the corner to settle into trees along the river.
Amazing.
It's fascinating to watch.
Oh, and here's another totally different shot. What do we have here?
So what has happened during the last 2 winters is the crows, for the first many weeks and months, are in front of the New Balance building along the Merrimack River and the Duck Bridge, right across from where the Essex Art Center is located. They have tended to migrate a bit in their nightly communal final roost a bit west up to the Great Stone Dam. This is a view from the bridge at the Great Stone Dam looking west with the boathouse, the Bashara boathouse, up in the distant background, and the crows all will settle on the ice before going up into trees for the final overnight roost.
And moving on from the group shots to this nice close-up.
This is really a funny photo. It was taken with a very distant brick building background that came out more kind of greenish just because of the time of day. So when I went to visit with Cathy and some of the staff members, I asked a few of them if they had a favorite photo. They pointed out a couple, and one of the staffers looked at this one and said, "That's a great photo, but it's clearly been photoshopped." And so I said, "Okay, so hold on, time out. Would you repeat that, please?" And so she said the same thing. I said, "Well, it wasn't." But a nice close-up, kind of a portrait of one of the fish crows, and just another, view that we had available to us, and I thought it just captured one of the crows in a different way.
Yes, most definitely. Cathy, one of the things that made this exhibition so unique is you devoted all 3 of your spaces to this theme.
Right.
Would you just very briefly share what was involved in the other spaces?
Sure. So when I met with Craig, we knew right away we wanted to incorporate photography. And so that was in our larger exhibition space. We have a smaller space as well. The large space is the Seidel Gallery. The smaller space, the Beelan Gallery. I invited Dennis Holinsky, who I believe you had on the show.
Yeah.
Dennis makes video work, and he came up to Lawrence and shot the crows.
Yeah.
So that was very exciting to be able to include his work.
Very captivating.
And, yeah, definitely. And then in our third space, which is our community artist exhibition space, we invited different people in the community, whoever want to participate, to contribute writing or visual art responses to the crows. So we had a range of different media, both poetry as well as mixed media pieces, paintings, and other 2-dimensional artwork.
You know, speaking of the community, this next image that's coming up is of opening night, and I think it's like a forerunner of how successful the exhibition was going to be, with just the crowd we're seeing here.
Right. Yeah. It really was record-breaking crowds for us. Over the entire run of the shows, we had a lot of interest from bird lovers as well as art lovers who came from far and wide to see it.
And then another aspect that we're going to move on to now is how captivating the exhibitions were, caused these number of spin-offs of other groups getting involved. And one of them, which seems incredibly appropriate, was Mass Audubon. How did that arrangement come about?
Right.
So Wayne Peterson, who is seen in this photo with the blue vest on, has been a big crow watcher, crow follower, crow observer for years, fascinated with the crows. And we had been out with him before, and he had a great interest. And when this all came together, he said, I think I can maybe attract interest not only from Mass Audubon to do an event working with Cathy and the Essex Art Center, but it ended up being an event, Jay, where they opened it up only and limited size to their leadership donors. These are the most substantial benefactors. And not only did they RSVP, but it was sold out with a waiting list, and they had a great time.
Fabulous. And here's another shot of the group.
And that's Bob Fox. Bob and Dana spoke at a number of the different gatherings and were very well received and helped to educate and inform everybody about the nature of the winter crow roost, the behavior of the crows, and their movements and where they come from and go to. And it was really, really helpful to have them be part of it.
And then, as we're going to see in some other upcoming photos, this also encouraged people to go out and observe the crows in the settings as well.
So at the end of it was kind of a three-part piece, a gallery tour, a talk, and then a field trip to go out and see the crows. And this is the Mass Audubon group doing this in the western part of Lawrence, right near the border with Andover, but very close to the Merrimack River. And it was cold, but it wasn't too cold.
Nice, nice. Well, picking up on visiting special groups and then touring outside, Lara, can you share a little bit about your involvement and maybe just a brief word about the Merrimack River Watershed Council?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
So the Merrimack River Watershed Council is an organization that works to protect and conserve the Merrimack River and throughout its watershed. A lot of people are not aware the watershed spans about 5,000 square miles. It starts up in Franconia Notch. It reaches all the way over to Mount Monadnock, and it almost all the way down to Worcester, so just a huge area. It's about 2.5 million people living in it and about 200 towns, communities in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. So we approach conservation in a number of different ways. Water pollution, we've been busy raising awareness around the problem of sewage overflows into the Merrimack. We also work on public access to the river and recreation on the river, and land conservation, since that's one of the best ways to keep the river clean is to maintain open space and forested land around the river. So
And the image we're seeing here is of some of your members and others as well. Could you share what is
Absolutely.
going on?
So it was Craig who reached out to us and asked if we'd be interested in being involved in this. We also worked with two other wonderful organizations, AVIS, which is the Andover Village Improvement Society. They're a land conservation organization in Andover. They manage a lot of open space in Andover. And the Merrimack Valley Bird Club, which is a birding club. Yeah. So the three organizations worked with Essex Art Center to put this event together. And the centerpiece was the art gallery that Cathy has described. We had talks from Bob and Dana Fox, and Craig also shared his enthusiasm with the group. There was a lot of fun audience participation. People told stories about crows that they had encountered and just had a lot of good stories about their intellect. And after that was over, we kind of convoyed over to the Bashara Boathouse and waited for the crows to come, and it was spectacular.
Yeah, can you describe what it was like seeing them like for the first time in that type of setting?
Oh yeah, I mean, we had crows kind of coming down using the rivers almost like a highway. I mean, you would look down the river from all directions and you'd see just masses of crows. And I recall hearing people just exclaim, "Oh my gosh, there's so many of them." I mean, the first time you see it, it really is just a spectacular thing. Like the abundance of crows, just thousands upon thousands of them converging on a single location. It was just remarkable. And so there was just really a lot of wonder in people's faces. And, it was really nice to see.
What's been the prevailing thought of why the crows, the thousands and thousands, up to 25,000, I think, come to the greater Lawrence area?
Because it's so fabulous.
So exactly.
Why not? There we go.
Jay, you know, there's still much research to be done and not a clear understanding as to why that is. It could be that by coming together every night in this very tight communal roost concentration, that it may help them from with predator avoidance. Could be the ambient lighting that's available in a general urban city area. There could be elements of an urban heat island, slightly a little bit warmer in the city. And then also one of the other theories that goes back and forth is that it could serve as some kind of an information center where the next day there might be a way that communications happens so that if there are new or changing food supplies, those that have been communicated with could go out in the different established flight lanes. It's a great question. We're hoping to be able to do some more research with radio tagging the crows and to be able to better understand some of the behavioral elements.
And then I think, as you were referring to, Cathy, there's the Essex Arts Center, which is an attraction enough for anybody to head to that area as well. Lara, we have one more image here. Could you share what we're seeing here, please?
Yeah, we're gathering near the Bashara Boathouse and watching the crows come down the river. You can't actually see the crows, but there were masses of them coming toward us. There were also some coming from the other direction, sort of over the clock tower and the two smokestacks that are not pictured here. And we were kind of just waiting and watching the show. And as they came in, I mean, the sky was just filled with them as they gathered for the nightly roost.
I mean, it's a great shot just without the crows here. I can imagine what it looked like when they came in sight. Wow,
Yeah.
Fabulous, fabulous. Moving on, welcome, Matt. Before we share what your involvement was, could you also give us a little background on Groundwork Lawrence,
Yeah,
please?
absolutely. Groundwork Lawrence, we're a community health organization. And we kind of do all of our programming. We meet our mission through environmental issues, food access and nutrition, education and training, and we do it with a focus of community development and service. So we play lots of different roles in Lawrence, and lots of different times that we get to focus on different things. My role in Groundwork Lawrence is through the education program and with Green Team. So we're able to dive in deeper to some of those aspects.
And how did you develop a relationship with the Essex Arts Center and the Crows?
Sure. Our staff and our board are extremely involved in the community in Lawrence and locally, and Craig is no stranger. So when Craig came calling, it was an easy decision to make. It just came down to when we'd be able to work it in. So we got the opportunity to go out and take some pictures, and then eventually head to the Art Center and see the gallery, which was amazing. And the Green Team got to meet Craig and get the tour. And then we took the group out to the boathouse and got to see the crows for ourselves.
Nice. So what was the group's reaction to the whole experience?
Working with high school kids, we try to spark interest in every little piece we do. I think at the Art Center, it was, oh wow, look at that, and some of the moving pieces with the video, there was a lot of interest. And then just looking closely at the birds, these kids are in Lawrence, they see them every year. You know, they've grown up with them, but it's always just been background noise. So to kind of shine a light and to bring them into, you know, seeing them closer and seeing them as a different view, there was some interest, and then there was something more. So we're excited to do more. We're excited for next year, and we're excited to get them back out.
Fabulous, fabulous. I know another group that took advantage of this was the Boys and Girls Club. Could you share their involvement and what came out of that?
There was an opportunity to connect with Karen Krawchuk, who is the Director of Education, Jay, at the Boys and Girls Club in Lawrence, and they have, like Groundwork Lawrence, they have a wonderful range of programming around after-school programs for all ranges of children. So Karen decided to take this forward with 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. They devoted part of each Friday in the month of February to have each of the participating 20 children crafted these beautiful images, hand-drawn with some kind of a mold of crows. Really fascinating. They wrote up a little story about their impression of crows around a theme of crows being social, smart and clever, and very family oriented. And I think the kids said, I'm smart, I'm social, I'm family. Yeah, I can relate.
That's great.
And the artwork was amazing. The excitement was extraordinary. The parents came in and they were just really in awe at how the kids had gotten so revved up. Karen did a great job. They worked with student writing leaders from the renowned Bread Loaf writing program. It was Bread Loaf Family Night. And Lou Bernieri, who's on the faculty at Andover and is the director of the Andover Bread Loaf program, was instrumental in putting this together. So they had a wonderful, interesting subject to write about, artwork to accompany, share it with parents, and it was and a beautiful article was written by the Eagle Tribune on how well this night came together with families sharing about the crows.
It's fabulous. Cathy, given the incredible success of the exhibitions, what have either you learned about this type of event, or you think other local museums can benefit from this experience?
I think we really have learned so much, and Matt brought up a good point, which is we've watched these crows fly in for years in our, from the windows and never really recognized it as something that's special. I think taking something that, even if it's something that feels very commonplace, and really honoring it, it invites other people to honor it. And I think because it was an honoring of this phenomenon, we brought in people that said, I've seen this happen for years and I just had to come over and see what this is all about. When you bring in the elements that Craig really brought to this, the educational elements, Bob and Dana Fox, you get really an educational component that we really have learned a lot from and are hoping to be able to build more into our exhibitions in the future.
Wonderful, wonderful. And one of those educational components was a terrific blog that you oversaw, Craig. Could you just, a quick word about what was involved with that?
The blog was a wonderful opportunity to be able to log and maintain stories of what we were seeing combined with the photographs. It's an online repository of winter crow roost articles. So it was a good chance to be able to showcase what went on at the Art Center and Cathy and her staff, the Merrimack River Watershed Council, and the work that Laura did in bringing that group together. Matt and the students from the Green Team were able to be on there, and we continue to use that as a way to post what we're seeing, what we're doing, and inviting others to maintain an interest.
Nice, nice. Well, while the crow exhibits aren't there now, the crows will be back next year. Cathy, there's still a lot going on at the Essex Arts Center. I have a couple of images of current exhibitions.
Right.
Could you say a quick word about them?
Sure. Our current exhibitions are El Taller Cafe in Lawrence, which is a great place that a lot of people who came to see the crows went to also eat or have coffee at.
Okay.
They have their own active exhibitions program, and we currently have a show where we've invited them into our space to create an exhibition around the artists that often show and hang out at the cafe. And then in our larger exhibition space, the Seidel Gallery, we have a show called Outside the Ordinary. It's fiber art by a group called Joined by Stitch. And so it is about 6 or 8 fiber artists who have made beautiful stitched pieces that are both representative as well as abstract.
Yeah,
And you can see some of those pieces here. This is all made from fabric.
Fabulous, fabulous. Looking back now, any of you who might want to comment, either whatever level you jumped in on this, what are some of your thoughts of where the beginnings and where the Crow exhibits ended up? And who knows what's still going to happen from them, future spin-offs. But how do you look back and what reflections do you make of this whole undertaking? Craig, you've been...
Jay, the thought that comes to mind is meeting with Cathy originally. She was open mind and open heart to take it forward. This whole thing was all about great community teamwork. Merrimack River Watershed, the Merrimack Valley Bird Club, the Avis Group, all, were happy to come on board. Mass Audubon's willingness to work with Cathy and her staff. Groundwork Lawrence was just in the aftermath of the horrible gas explosions that really ripped at the fabric of the city. They were so deeply involved, and yet Matt was able to circle around with encouragement from Heather and Brad, and got the students out there. And so it was just great teamwork, and everybody kind of willing to get involved. And I think it leaves us with some opportunities for next year.
Nice, nice. Just speaking of next year or the immediate future, Cathy, what are some upcoming plans for the Essex Art Center?
Well, the Essex Art Center is gearing up for our annual fundraiser right now, so that keeps us very busy. That happens in June. But we do program our exhibition spaces year-round. So our current shows will run up until June, and then we'll open new shows. We also have a busy summer program, as I know Matt does, a lot of youth programs as well as adult programs. So we just get busier, we don't slow down, and we hardly take any kind of break, so there's always activity there.
How often do the major exhibitions turn over?
We turn over our exhibitions 4 times a year, and they open simultaneously, so all 3 exhibitions open with a reception on the first night. It's a great way to get crowds in from the different artists that are part of the shows, and it's just a really lively, sociable event that people really enjoy.
Nice, nice. And like Matt's group, do schools participate and take advantage of the Art Center or other youth groups?
We do a lot of community outreach, so we do a lot of custom art programs for groups from all different backgrounds. So we work with the schools, of course, but then we have scout troops. We have lots of different after-school programs that come to us, as well as programs that come to us during the day.
Nice, nice. Well, I definitely look forward to coming back, and I have to say, it's the Crows that got me there, and well worth the drive out there. So look forward to seeing these current exhibitions. And also want to thank all of you for being here and just informing us about what was and where it led, and other future developments that are sure to come. So thank you so much. And I also want to thank those of you watching for joining us, and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.